Hello and welcome back to the MakerJayne channel, where I share all things English paper piecing, from tips and tutorials to projects and more. So if you love EPP like I do, please consider subscribing. In this video, I'm doing another update to share with you what has been going on at MakerJayne over the past month. The new happenings at MakerJayne, whether that's new patterns or new products in my shop. I also like to share some personal projects because I think it's fun and I enjoy seeing what the artists and quilters that I follow, seeing what they're making. So I thought it would be kind of fun to share some of the stuff that I'm making more on a personal level. All basically to just give you inspiration in your own creative journey. So first things first, I want to share with you some of the things that I've been up to here behind the scenes at MakerJayne. And the first thing that I have been up to is I have been in the process of getting certified to be a teacher of color confidence for quilters. It's an amazing curriculum designed by a quilter for quilters, so that we can learn all about color. And not only does it go into the science of color, which many of us may already be familiar with, but it really comes at color also from a more intuitive and creative perspective. So if you've ever taken a color theory class like I have and found it to be dry and boring, I can guarantee you that color confidence for quilters is not that way at all. For me, it was extremely eye-opening and I had a lot of aha moments, and quite frankly, it was a game changer for my own quilting. And so once I went through the program, when the opportunity came up to become a certified teacher, I jumped on it. And I'm super excited to get to start sharing that with you. So I'm still in the process of becoming certified. I have one more presentation to give, and I'm working on that right now, this month. And I've got a few more steps to take after that, and then I will have my certification. There's just some paperwork and stuff that needs to be done after that. And then I will be available to start teaching live workshops, which I am very excited about, and I can't wait to share with you. So if you're interested in learning more about color confidence for quilters, I'll put a link down below in the description so you can get on my email list and get notified when I get certified and when those workshops will become available. The next thing that I started this past month in January was a hand embroidery series. Now, I have been wanting to learn hand embroidery for quite some time, and I just never got around to doing it. And something just kind of gave me that little boost at the beginning of the year that really inspired me to make 2022 the year that I'm going to learn how to hand embroider. I do want to show you the book that I'm following. Just pull it out of my little kit here. I've got a little embroidery bag that I keep all my supplies in. And I do have a, I think I actually showed this book in last month's update video. The book is called Creative Stitches for Contemporary Embroidery by Sharon Bogan. And it's a really great book. It shows you the basic embroidery steps, but then she takes you through each of the embroidery steps and gives you ways that you can actually make it even more unique and more modern. So what I love about the book is she's got picture steps showing the actual stitch, and then she shows you ways that you can make it even cooler. Sharon also has a website called pintangle.com, and I'll also put a link to that down below, where you can access all of her stitch library, or stitch dictionary is what she calls it. And she does a weekly new stitch every week. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out her link down below in the description. I love what she does, and so I like sharing it with others. So I have been learning hand embroidery starting this January. My goal is that by the end of the year, I will have enough of a familiarity with embroidery so that I can start incorporating embroidery into my English paper piecing projects, which I'm planning on sharing here on YouTube on the channel for you. So keep an eye out for that. And again, be sure to subscribe so that you can see those videos and get notified of those. So I did fall a little bit behind in the January stitches, and we are now into the second week of February, and I have yet to catch up. So I will be working on catching up on my stitches and posting my videos here for you. And just so you know, in my videos that I post for the hand embroidery, I'm not actually teaching the stitch. I want you to go to Sharon to learn the stitch because she does such a wonderful job at teaching it visually through her website as well as through her book, of course. But I want to send you to Sharon to learn and to get on her email list if you want to learn the stitches and to follow along the series. What I am enjoying doing in my videos as well as on the blog is sharing how I'm using the stitch, what I learned from the stitch as I stitched it out, and then I'm also making a sampler, which I can pull that out for you here and show you so far what we have. So this is my sampler that I'm making, and my plan is to fill in each of the triangles of the fabric with a different stitch. So far I've got these two stitches. We have the chain stitch and the fly stitch. And eventually, you know, I'm going to work my way to fill in that hexagon, and then I will work my way out from there. So let's see if I can hold this or if it will stick to me. There we go. So I'll start here, and then I'm going to work my way around and then again outward. And I'll probably fill this up before the end of the year. I don't know. I haven't actually counted the triangles. But if I do, then I'll pick a different fabric that possibly has another design imprinted on it, so I don't have to worry about, you know, figuring out what I'm going to stitch or what design I'm going to stitch. That's what I really like about this fabric, is it's already got the shapes for me. All I have to do is fill it in. So I thought that was really fun, and wanted to share that with you. So if you'd like to join in on doing a sampler like this, basically you can just pick out a fabric that already has some large shapes to it, geometric or otherwise. If you want to do something more floral, that's totally doable. And then you just take each stitch from each week and learn the stitch, of course, first. I do that on what's called a doodle cloth. And then once I'm comfortable enough with the stitch and I'm familiar with the rhythm of it and the hand pattern, you know, the stitch pattern, then I'll come over to the sampler and I'll work on a triangle. And I really like how the doodle cloth works. And I'll put a link to that rather than describe it because it's kind of a little bit of a process, but I'll put a card up above in the video here to one of the past hand embroidery videos, so you can kind of see the format that I'm going for. But basically, the doodle cloth is where I practice the stitch, I get to know the stitch, and I don't start stitching on this sampler until I start getting some ideas for what to do. And I don't have any ideas until I practice the stitch for a little while. So at first I was starting to actually video the whole practicing stage, but I think I've decided that I'm going to just practice it without videoing, and then I'll turn the camera on once I have a really good handle on the stitch. I'll talk about the stitch, what I learned from the stitch, kind of point out some of the fun things that I discovered, and then I will show you how I use it in the sampler as well, just to kind of keep those videos a little bit more tighter and more succinct. I've just been kind of trying to figure out how I wanted to present it, and I think I'm figuring that out. So so look forward to the next hand embroidery video coming out very soon. The third thing that I want to mention for MakerJayne is I released a new pattern in January, and it's a free English paper piecing pattern. You can find it on my website. I will link to it below, and it is a winter themed table topper. You might have seen pictures of it if you follow me on Instagram. And I'm going to put a picture up here of the table topper so you can see what it looks like. And if you're interested in making this, check out the link down below in the description of this video. I will link to the pattern, and you can either use hexagon templates that you already have for the pattern, which all the details of, you know, what size you need and how many, that's all in the blog post. So when you go to the website, it'll give you all that information. So you can either use your own templates for your hexagons, or I also provide free templates for you on that same blog post. So check out the blog post and you have everything you need to make this beautiful snowflake. I hope you like it. I really enjoyed making it. And if you do make it, be sure to share it on social media and tag me, because I would love to see how yours turned out and what fabrics you chose for your snowflake. The table topper total size is about 20 inches or so. I think it's a little bit bigger than 20 inches. Again, the blog post will have the details of that. So it fits really nicely on a small table and can also be used on a larger table if you have maybe a centerpiece, like a candle or something that you want to put on your larger table, and it can kind of highlight that as being like a mat for a centerpiece. So it works for small tables or for big tables. So hopefully you enjoy that pattern. I really enjoyed making it for you. All right, so that's what's been going on with MakerJayne. There's other things that I have in the works. I'm working on some patterns for this spring, but it's a little too soon to share any of the details with them, with you on what those are yet. So I'm still in the pattern writing phase, and I'm making some samples. So yeah. So stay tuned for those. Those will be coming out soon, hopefully in the next month or two. I've got two fairly, well, they're not big projects, but they're requiring a lot of planning. So, and I'll give you a little hint. Both projects are, let's see, how do I want to say this? Both projects, basically, I'm making English paper pieced fabric that I then will lay a pattern over and use the English paper piecing as the fabric. If that makes any sense, I don't know if it does. So that's a little hint. Both projects are the same way. Both projects, I'm actually creating English paper pieced hexagon fabric, and then I'm going to take a pattern, lay it on top of that fabric, and cut around the pattern, and then sew the project together. The two projects together. And they're two completely different projects with completely different fabrics, but they both use hexagons, and they both are going to be using the hexagons sewn up in a fabric as kind of the base. So anybody want to guess what it might be that I'm planning for you? You can drop it down in the comments below. I would love to hear what you think it might be. I think that's fun. All right, so on a personal note, there's a couple of things that I've been working on. I haven't had a lot of time to be sewing when I'm not working. I usually wait until the evenings to take some personal time and do some personal projects, but most of the time I actually just work on MakerJayne projects in the evening because I love English paper piecing. So these two projects that I've been working on for the month of January were not English paper piecing related, so I don't have a lot of them, but the first one is a hat and scarf. So for the month of December, in my update video, I shared with you the hat that I had made using a knitting loom. So I loom knit a hat, and I really love how it fits. In that video, I can put a card to that up above. That is the December update video. But in that video, I linked to the tutorial that I found to make the hat. And I think I also linked to the yarn as well. So you can check that out if you want to see the hat. But in January, I decided I needed a matching scarf. So I have the scarf here, and I want to show you what it looks like. I really like the scarf because it's nice and thick. And I don't know if you can see this, but there are not a lot of holes in it. It knit together really tightly, and it looks like a hand knit scarf. It doesn't look like a loom knit scarf to me. And I love this yarn. So I actually mixed 2 different yarns together, and I'll link to the yarns down below. So if you're interested in recreating this scarf, you can find the same exact yarns that I used. It's nice and long, so it's probably like, gosh, 5 feet long, and I really like how I can wrap it. I'll just try it on for you. I can wrap it, and then I can tie it like this. And it gets really cold here in Colorado, so I like how it stands up around my neck and keeps my neck warm, and then it's got this stretch to it, so when you tie it, it stays put. And I just really love it. So I will link to the tutorial for this scarf. If you have never tried loom knitting, you might want to check it out. I actually tried to teach myself how to knit traditional knitting, and I just couldn't get the hand work down. I don't know. I didn't have the patience for it. I have taught myself how to crochet, but for some reason the knitting just wasn't happening. So when I learned about the loom knitting, I thought, okay, I've got to try it, and I'm in love. I love it. It's so easy. It's kind of mindless. Like, you can just learn the stitch, and then I got a counter, and I just keep track of my rows that way. If it's a more complex pattern, you're probably going to need to obviously pay more attention to what you're doing. But this pattern was super simple. It's just a repeat pattern, back and forth, back and forth. And so once I learned the pattern, you know, I didn't really have to think about it, and I could watch a video or a movie and work on it in the evenings. So that is my recent winter warmy make. The other item that I'm super excited about, and I got to experiment with a little bit this past month, is I have been sewing garments for several years. I actually had started, my first business was to sew custom clothing for my clients, and I never had time to sew clothes for myself. So now that I'm quilting, I want to get back to sewing clothes for myself, and I am in the works of planning a new wardrobe for myself. And it's a process, which is going to take some time, but in that, you know, rediscovery of garment sewing, I discovered a system called Lutterloh, and I will grab that for you here so that you can see what I'm talking about. But basically, it's a German sewing pattern system, and you may have heard of it before. This is what's in the box. It's a notebook, and there are different years of this. I actually bought this used on eBay. But basically, it's a kit, and you have tools for making or tracing your garment patterns. The ruler's not in there. I've got it over on my cutting table. But the book itself has all these patterns in it. And this particular pattern book, I think, was published in the 90s. So the fashions in this particular book are a little bit outdated, but they do have an updated version. If you wanted to get the newer version, if that was your style of clothing, you could go to the Lutterloh website, which I will put a link down below. That's how you spell it, Lutterloh. I'll put a link down below in the description so you can check it out. And of course, you can always do a search on YouTube. There's a few people on YouTube talking about it, but not very many, and the videos aren't really that educational. They're not really that informative. I've actually found a lot more information about it just doing online search, and I actually A while back when I first learned about it, I found some vintage Lutterloh books, and it actually wasn't called Lutterloh at the time. It was called the Golden Schnitt. It's German, and it basically means the golden rule. And so I found some scans of these books from the 1930s and the 1940s, and I downloaded them, and I tried to find them more recently so that I could share those links with you, and I cannot find them online anymore. So I don't know where to find them, but there are some people out there that have posted copies of individual patterns from some of those older vintage books. So you may be able to find, if you're into vintage clothing, you may be able to find some of those patterns online. You'd have to do a search. But anyway, that's kind of what initiated my interest in it. And so I am planning on combining the skill that I learned from this system, which is how to trace out their patterns, and using that with the older patterns, the vintage patterns from the 30s and 40s, and making some new garments for myself. That's pretty much it for the update video. I kind of wanted to keep it short. There wasn't a lot going on. There's plenty. I've been working a lot on that color confidence certification, and that really took a lot of my focus this past month and is going to continue taking a lot of my focus until I get certified. But I'm super excited about it, and I really love the program. So again, if you're interested in learning more about color confidence for quilters, check out the link down below in the description. Thank you for watching this video. Thanks for sticking around, and hopefully something I shared with you in this video inspired you or got you excited, maybe about a new project or learning a new skill, perhaps. Maybe you'd like to learn hand embroidery. So I hope this video was helpful in some way or inspiring in some way to you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on stitching.